Have you ever questioned your own desirability, even in the absence of validation from others? Many women struggle to recognize their own allure, yet, when viewed from an outsider's perspective, there's an undeniable quality that they often overlook. They're not intentionally trying to attract attention or play games. In fact, they might not even be aware of the effect they have on those around them. Their mere existence creates a powerful impression. Whether in the way they carry themselves, listen intently, or even in their moments of quiet, there's an undeniable essence that ignites desire. Interestingly, a lot of these women grapple with self-doubt, pondering their attractiveness, all while unknowingly exuding an authentic magnetism that can't be faked. Today, we'll explore 12 subtle signs that may have been right in front of you for quite a while. Signs that reveal a truth you may have yet to acknowledge. That you are genuinely desired, even if no one has voiced it, and even if you haven't recognized it yourself. One of the most common yet often overlooked indicators is when a man approaches you with seemingly trivial intentions. He might ask a meaningless question, make a casual remark, or seek your assistance with something that clearly doesn't require it. You might find yourself wondering, why is he reaching out to me about such minor things? The answer isn't in his words, but in what he's too shy to say outright. According to Carl Jung's psychology, unconscious desire usually remains unspoken, as it can provoke vulnerability and discomfort. When a man feels this way about you but struggles to acknowledge it, he tends to find indirect routes to connect, offering excuses, posing little questions, all of which are really just gateways leading to you. Often, you might not even recognize this pattern. You might dismiss it as mere coincidence or politeness. Yet beneath this apparent triviality lies something significant. For often, that which is unnameable reveals itself through the simplest of actions. Have you ever noticed a man suddenly popping up with vague questions or comments that seem out of place? Perhaps his aim wasn't to get an answer from you at all. Maybe he was simply seeking your company but didn't know how to express it. Another unmistakable sign of your desirability, even if you're unaware of it, is the mixed signals you receive from the men around you. They may gaze at you, but quickly look away once you engage. They might text you only to vanish without a word. They crave your closeness, yet appear restless in your presence, leading you to doubt yourself, to think you're not enough, or to wonder if you've misread the situation. But it's not you creating confusion. You evoke desire, a profound, unspoken yearning that many struggle to handle without feeling exposed. According to Jung, this dynamic occurs when we see aspects of ourselves reflected in others, parts we may not fully comprehend, yet are irresistibly drawn to. You might be that symbolic figure for him, stirring his hidden desires, his unacknowledged impulses. That's why his behavior is inconsistent. With you, he can't operate on autopilot, can't rely on his usual strategies, and can't evade the reflection you unintentionally present. Even though a part of him yearns to draw nearer, another part hesitates, unsure of how to navigate his emotions. Have you ever encountered a man who initially seemed captivated, only to suddenly pull back without explanation? It might not stem from disinterest. Perhaps his feelings were so intense that he felt overwhelmed. The signs of desire don't just come from men. Often, they emerge through the remarks of other women, subtle yet unmistakable clues that highlight your allure. You might think you're something special, right? With your captivating looks, it seems you can easily attract attention. You can't quite figure out how you do it, but it feels like eyes are always on you, making you a bit uneasy. You're caught in a dilemma. Should you speak up, stay quiet, or just smile? You can't grasp what's triggering this attention, yet you're not trying at all. You're simply being yourself. Sometimes, just by being genuine, without pretense, guilt, or desperation, you can stir insecurities in those around you, especially in women who have learned to vie for attention. From a boy's point of view, the female psyche can project its own insecurities. When one woman meets another who radiates authenticity, she may feel either admiration or a sense of threat. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your energy highlights what she hasn't fully embraced within herself. And that can sting. That's why it's not just men who can sense when you're quietly desired. Women who haven't yet recognized their own worth can feel it too. Have you ever received a snide remark, even though you didn't provoke it? It might not have been an attack. Perhaps it was simply a reflection of their feelings. One of the most subtle signs of desire is that fleeting glance that diverts and then returns. It's not a superficial stare or a calculated move. It's an instinctive double-take, an unguarded reaction that happens before the mind can catch up. He notices you, and something inside him stirs, but unable to label what he feels, he looks away, only to steal another glance, unable to resist. And you sense it. You might brush it off as coincidence, yet something in you recognizes that small shift, like a sudden change in the atmosphere. According to Jung, this occurs when an external presence triggers a profound, unconscious projection. It's not about you in a literal sense. It's about what you symbolize, the energy you exude, the feelings you evoke without uttering a word. That's what draws him in. He sees you and grapples with his emotions, sidestepping before circling back, as if he needs to convince himself of your existence, as if your presence unsettles his inner balance. Have you ever caught someone gazing at you, then swiftly looking away as if nothing happened? This might not be shyness. It could be an effort to conceal an intense desire. An even more complex sign to decode is the behavior of men who are already taken. Men who are in relationships, whether married or otherwise committed, often regard you with a different kind of gaze. They linger a bit longer, pose seemingly random questions, or hover nearby without a clear reason. This can leave you feeling uneasy, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you can sense a shift in their demeanor, even if you can't quite put your finger on it. It's not your fault. You aren't trying to provoke anything. It's simply the magnetic pull of an energy that transcends social norms. True desire doesn't recognize labels or relationship statuses. It disregards rational justifications. From Carl Jung's perspective, this phenomenon occurs when you embody a potent archetype for the male unconscious, a symbol of freedom, intensity, and deep emotional connection. Even if he's committed, this can disorient him. It's not an invitation or flirtation. It's a reflection. Your energy is vibrant and present, reaching into parts of him where he can no longer hide the truth. Have you ever noticed how taken men seem to gaze at you differently, only to act as if nothing happened? Perhaps it's not about vanity. It might be a silent acknowledgement of your palpable energy, even when you don't actively project it. Another subtle indication often goes unnoticed in your social circles. You don't share provocative images or seek attention through exaggerated displays. Yet people still react to your posts, leave comments, or offer you an elusive attention that's hard to articulate. You might share simple moments daily without any intention to impress, and yet they create an impact. This is where the true sign lies. You are seen, not for what you showcase, but for what you naturally emit. From Jungian psychology, this connects to the idea of archetypal vibration, a symbolic energy that transcends the visible, reaching directly into the unconscious of others, even in the digital realm. Your energy resonates even when you don't intend it. This is what separates genuine presence from the superficial. You don't need to curate your image or force attention. Your essence quietly draws people in, making you a magnet in a world saturated with noise. Have you ever posted something without much thought, only to find it drawing more attention than you anticipated? Perhaps the impact wasn't about the image itself, but rather about what remains unseen, yet felt on an intuitive level by everyone. One of the most subtle signs of your desirability is when your mere presence shifts the atmosphere. It's not something you orchestrate or plan. It simply occurs. You walk into a room, and suddenly, the vibe changes. Conversations soften, gazes shift, and a thick silence envelops the space. Even when you don't feel particularly special that day, there's an intangible quality that influences the environment, leaving an invisible mark. In the realm of Carl Jung's psychology, a transformation occurs when a woman begins to resonate from her core. She no longer seeks validation through being chosen or conforms to fit in. Instead, she simply embraces her true self. The masculine unconscious picks up on this subtle shift. It recognizes something profound, even if it can't articulate it. It's not just about your voice or appearance. It's the energy you radiate when you're in alignment with who you are. This is a frequency that neither begs for attention nor hides away. When this energy fills a space, it stirs something that has long been asleep. Have you ever felt the atmosphere of a room shift the moment you walk in, even if no words are exchanged? It might not be discomfort. Perhaps it's an unnameable desire that awakens around you. Another often overlooked sign is the nervousness displayed by some men in your presence. They may talk quickly, trip over their words, avoid eye contact, or seem overly relaxed despite feeling anything but. From the outside, it might look like disinterest or mere politeness. Yet, more often than not, it's the opposite. Discomfort doesn't necessarily equate to rejection. It frequently signals an overwhelming attraction. When a man is deeply moved by your presence but lacks the tools to manage that feeling, he becomes unbalanced. Unsure of how to approach you without revealing too much, his body ends up showing what his mind tries to conceal. From Jung's viewpoint, this happens when you activate a powerful symbolic image within him, one that stirs both desire and vulnerability. He doesn't want to seem weak or let you see his struggle, yet his body language tells a different story. Those awkward gestures, the nervous laugh, the tension in his posture. These are signs of desire attempting to stay hidden. Have you ever noticed a man acting strangely around you, seemingly uncomfortable for no clear reason? It may not stem from insecurity. It could be the powerful effect you have on him. Another subtle yet significant indicator is when a man smiles at you without any obvious reason. A smile that comes without a joke, a conversation, or any exchange. It's a quiet, almost instinctive smile, as if his body reacts before his mind does. You might brush it off or think it's just a coincidence, but it's actually a reflection of the impression you leave on him. In Jung's perspective, the unconscious often reveals more truth than the conscious mind. A smile without a clear cause can be a release for repressed desire, an unspoken fascination for which words simply don't suffice. He isn't smiling out of courtesy. He smiles because your presence stirs something deep within him, something tender and intense, evoking feelings of desire, attraction, or mystery. This simple smile serves as an emotional language that his body employs when words fail him. Have you ever sensed a man smiling at you for no apparent reason? Perhaps it wasn't mere sympathy. Maybe it was an unconscious urge sparked by your energy. A powerful indicator of a man's feelings is when he suddenly disappears, just as you feel the bond growing stronger. He seemed engaged, attentive, and genuinely interested, yet out of nowhere, he pulls back without any explanation. There was no fight, and you haven't done anything wrong. But something has shifted. You might find yourself questioning your actions, wondering if you somehow messed up. But perhaps it's not your fault at all. You may have simply been too authentically yourself. When a woman evokes deep desire and intense emotions, Many men find themselves unprepared for that level of real connection. They struggle with feelings they can't control, and that's when they tend to retreat. From Carl Jung's viewpoint, this scenario taps into the conflict between shadow and projection. When someone stirs up a suppressed part of another person, the response can either be a strong pursuit or a retreat driven by fear. In this instance, what he experienced with you was anything but straightforward. Have you ever noticed him pulling away just as things were falling into place? Sometimes a disappearance isn't about coldness. It can signal an internal struggle. As painful as it may be, this is one of the clearest indicators of your magnetic presence. There are women whose absence is felt more profoundly than their presence. If you identify with this, you understand that sometimes the silence you leave behind speaks volumes, much louder than anything you might have said or done while you were there. You never sought attention or demanded focus, yet when you step away, a void is left behind. Conversations falter, the atmosphere shifts, and those around you, especially men, can sense that something essential is missing, even if they can't pinpoint what it is. This isn't mere coincidence. It signifies that what you offered was far from superficial. It was a resonant vibration. In depth psychology, we learn that when someone is deeply in tune with themselves, their energy creates a stabilizing presence in their interactions. Your energy has provided support and balance, and when it's gone, not only does a physical space feel empty, but a symbolic one does as well. Have you noticed that people often start to reach out, suddenly recognize your value, or claim something has shifted just as you've stepped away? Perhaps they're finally grasping what you meant to them. Even in your absence, your energy lingers like an echo that refuses to fade away. Lastly, there's a sign that frequently goes overlooked. The deepest connections reveal a silence that feels anything but awkward. When you are genuinely desired, not for what you symbolize, but for the feelings you evoke, your very presence creates a space where silence becomes rich and meaningful. There's no pressure to fill the void, no need for conversation, no obligation to entertain. Your energy carries the moment, and the other person can sense that. A man can sit beside you in complete silence and still feel an intimate connection, something he rarely encounters. It's not just your words that spark desire. It's the confidence with which you inhabit the space, even in those quiet moments. According to Jung, this transformation occurs when feminine energy shifts from projecting outward to emanating from within. A woman who embraces silence is also embracing her true self. When a man picks up on this, his instincts perceive it as depth, a sense of mystery, something he longs to explore, even if he can't articulate why. Have you ever shared a quiet moment with someone and felt an undeniable bond? That silence might not have been void. It was a profound presence. After everything we've discussed today, you might have come to an important realization. You don't need to strive excessively to be desired. Your allure isn't dependent on tactics, words, or external perceptions. Your essence resonates, your presence leaves an impression, and even your silence conveys meaning. Genuine desire isn't something you create. It's something that awakens. This often happens when you cease the search for it, when you no longer crave validation, when you stop molding yourself to satisfy others, and instead start living authentically from within. The 12 signs we've explored today aren't strict rules, labels, or blueprints. They're reflections, subtle reminders of an energy that resides within you, even when you may overlook it. If any of these signs resonate with you, it's no accident. It's your subconscious nudging you to remember what you once knew but may have set aside. You don't have to do anything to deserve desire. You simply need to be fully present in yourself. From that place, what is intended for you will naturally come your way. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. It's a haven for women seeking to understand their relationships at an emotional and unconscious level. Here, we delve into Jungian psychology, self-awareness, emotional healing, profound connections, and the awakening of the feminine spirit. Until next time, we'll take a deep dive into the depths of the unconscious.